Well, lovely to meet you. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Lovely to meet you.
So we're here in Marrakech. Maybe we can start by talking about this wonderful city and the film festival that's here. How's it been for you to be a part of it?
This time really amazing because I've been here before as part of a jury, so it was more hectic. You didn't really have time to go and visit and understand more about the city. This time, strangely enough, you have a film and yet you have more time to go around. So, Marrakech is really a kind of, it's Morocco, but it's a very lucky, special, apart place compared to other places here. So every time they invite me here, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Marrakech.
And also to have the film screening here, I mean, how do you see the role of film festivals for giving a bit of a platform for different kinds of cinema, and this one in particular?
How do I see this festival? Well, this is a very French-driven festival, of course, that gives a lot of space to French films, which I love. I mean, France, in Europe, I'm European, and France is still, I think, the best country for, at least for certain kind of films, film d'auteur, films that are. And I feel Marrakech, it's a very loving place that really love people, so they really take care of the people they invite. And I always have the feeling that the films that they invite, it's not only about the market, but it's about the films. It's about the people that made the films. So it's beautiful to be part of it. It's beautiful that they invited the whole cast, We are a big cast in the film with two main characters and a lot of people, walking around these two characters, and yet they invited the whole cast to be here. So it's about the film. It's about having, it's great also because in this particular case, this film was really made by a group of friends that in real life know each other very well. So it's a different impact for me as an actor to be part of this film or be part of any other film where, yes, you get to know people closely, sometimes, but in this case, you really saw the film from the beginnings, from when Valeria was writing the movie, from when she had the crisis about the movie in the writing. So, and she wrote some of the characters on the people she knew. So it's different. You feel closer to the film. Even if you have a small role, you see it and you perceive it from a different perspective.
And maybe you can just quickly introduce Euphoria a little bit. It's a very unique story, it's a very beautiful film. How do you see the story of it and your character's role?
I don't know if it's a very unique story. I think it's a very unique film. It is about the story, but it's really about the vision of a director. It's about some kind of mysterious thing that happens, which is very well written in the director's head, of course, very precisely written. But then there's a sort of unknown that happens, which also sometimes surprises the director itself. And in this particular case, I have a feeling that Valeria had very well in mind what she wanted, the writing and everything, but then something happened in the film where the people coming together, what was happening in real life that then kind of got caught in the film. And I think she really jumped, not with a really safe net, which is amazing when things work, Sometimes you have good movies, but they're like good homeworks. In this case, I have a feeling that there's something about the movie that opens windows, that leave you still with windows open and thoughts about what were they trying to say? What were the characters trying to go? You think while the characters are thinking. It's not only like you sit there and you get a nice film. In this particular case, it also interrogates the idea of death and the idea of the invisible, the idea of magic, and at the same time, do you have this word in English, say desecrating, like having fun, taking a piss on the thing itself. Do you say this? Is it
like making fun of something.
Making fun of something that is very sacred, like, you know, death and
like taboo topics somehow.
yeah, taboo topics if you want. So every character find themselves caught into their destiny, and at the same time, because we're talking about sickness and death, something like a hurricane happens to everybody, and that opens a window to some kind of invisible, how do you say, quality of life or texture of life. So I think this film has in itself some kind of questions that the director wanted, but that the director is still, I think, asking herself, that are in the film and that people would probably ask themselves as well. Was I clear? I felt I went into a difficult topic.
No, it's really interesting. And so, and like Ricardo's character in particular is super complex. You sort of don't know whether to love him or hate him, or is he obnoxious or has he got a good heart? So, and the way he plays that character is pretty intense. So how was it working with him on set, and how did you work together to kind of build these relationships?
I think that he was the only actor in Italy that could do this film, because he's such a loving man. He's such someone that creates empathy with the other. That's what he is. He's born like this. He's a very sympathetic person. And because he had to play someone that you know, at the beginning was maybe someone that wasn't very likable, and he didn't make discounts on his character. He really went into this kind of unlikable. He's well, I've known him for years, and when I know someone very well, I don't really like to work with them, because then you see things that you know, and you see tricks, and you would see, you know, the comfort zone where they go to, and like, you know, I see that, and you also, it's difficult to kind of take a leap or like jump into something more crazy or different from what you are. So, but Valeria was amazing. She was hitting us. She was physically like going like, you know, stop doing this. Or because we know each other very well, we could be very honest, and we could jump all those steps when, you know, with the director at the beginning where you don't know each other and you're being polite or whatever, or not polite, but I mean, we know each other. So she saw immediately, and she was amazing.
And it seems to be a great time for female filmmakers. There seems to be a lot more awareness that we need to have better gender equality in that respect. You know, how was it working with a female film director, and do you see that things are starting to change, that there are more opportunities for women behind the camera?
Yes, things are starting to change. I think that right now, especially the industry is thirsty to have, you know, women that have things to say, are welcoming, you know, more than before, women that have things to say. Things have been difficult for women. I had the chance in my life to work with a lot of women directors, and so it's not something I've questioned myself, because I wouldn't say half and half, but nearly half and half. Not half and half, probably not half and half, but I had a lot of strong, great female directors I worked with. But yes, it is a great time, especially for women, to start saying to themselves, I can do it, I can write a film, I can, you know, be welcomed. Because sometimes it's an unconscious thing. We think, you know, we're not going to be listened, we're not going to be looked at, so we don't even start fantasizing on something. And I think it's a great time for women to really take a leap, more, you know. And
the film does, as you've mentioned, cover a lot of different themes: how we deal with death, sort of human relationships. There's obviously the issue of sexuality with Ricardo's character. What do you think that people are going to take away from this film?
I think that it's beautiful because it's not about homosexuality, or it's not about people being diverse. It's about people being in a moment of their life, every character, where they're living in a more, how would you say, in a self-absorbed world, in a egotistic world. Even the sick person, of course, he's shaken by himself. He's in himself. He's sick. He deserves it. He's you know, he can be selfish, and Ricardo is a selfish character. And everybody's, you know, they're drug addict, and they're you know, and they get to a point. You get to a point where life kind of gives you a punch in your face, and you can either look at it and stop for a second and see that there's a window that opens for you, or you can go, or you can, you know, still keep going, and life will punch you even worse. In this case, the how do you say, the sickness of one of the brothers, it's a big punch, and being a big punch is a big opportunity. Life is like not only showing you, but it's like giving all the characters a great. It's like really taking the rideau away and opening questions on yeah, are you know, what do you believe in, not only religiously, but is there something invisible around us that guides us? Is there a place where you can, you know, go to in your mind, in yourself, that it's not, how do you say, where you can, you know, we're not alone, basically. We're not alone. We're not alone, not only because maybe there is some kind of, you know, invisible something, but we're not alone because there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help out and be part of our life, helping us making a change. It's just, you need to ask. You just need to be humble enough to ask for help sometimes.
And looking back over your career so far, have you had a particular highlight? And can you tell us about what you're going to be doing next after this project?
What's a particular highlight? Sorry.
Of your career so far, of stuff that you've done before, was there something you particularly enjoyed doing the most, or working with?
A lot of. I mean, I love working. Not necessarily the movies that were the best movies I did, that were the best experiences. Sometimes I made movies that were beautiful and worked well, but maybe my experience wasn't the best. And sometimes small films came up for a week, best experience of my life. So highlights are always, you know, moments where you can, you know, give and share, and with others, and be in a healthy place in somehow. And yeah, now I'm working on a film with another woman director, which is called Francesca Archibugi, with who I debuted actually when I was 14 years old. She took me out of the school, and I played a part in her film, and now I'm playing a role in her next film. So that's what I'm doing now. So you see another woman. And
how do you see the kind of landscape for world cinema in general, in terms of, you know, films being in English, films being in Italian? Do you feel like that now there's more and more opportunities to have films from completely different countries, different languages? Or do you feel like sometimes it's still quite dominant what's coming from the US for like the really big films? Yeah, it will always be dominant. I mean, it's numbers. American industry will always be dominant on. And European films and auteur film will always be better sometimes and seen by a smaller audience, but because, I mean, sometimes it's horrible to say, but movies that are, I would say, more, are not for everybody, you know. Sometimes people just sit in a theater and me too, eat popcorns and see a great, you know, story, don't think,
don't take time. You don't have time to sit and see like a maybe 5-minute shot, or and that's beautiful as well, that there are films that will not be seen by the whole world. It's an elite thing. It's great that they coexist. I don't know if I would love for some European films to be seen by the whole. I don't know. It's, you know what I mean?
But I mean, the cinema that comes out of Italy in particular is extraordinary. Do you have a favourite all-time director?
Favorite time director, Italian? Yeah, well, I would say Bernardo Bertolucci. That went away 2 days ago. He was the last great, amazing director. After him, there are great directors still, but he was such a cinematic, crazy, intense, emotional. I mean, the way he draw the character. I mean, being an actor, your dream. My dream was always like, being one of Bernardo's films. And so yes, I would say him.
Okay, well, that's been fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing all that with us.